Hello, and welcome back to the Ultimate Park Management Guide for Planet Coaster 2. Today, we are going to be talking about finances. Yes, finances. There are several different topics that I want to cover. I will insert a list of topics here once I get everything recorded, because I don't write scripts for these videos yet. I just kind of go for it. So I don't know what we're going to get into. But anyway, if I did this right, there will be a list of topics on screen right now that we're going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and jump into our first topic, which is kind of going back into the menus and navigating specifically where you can find all the different things related to finance. So again, to reiterate, the bottom your bottom UI down here, if you click on any of these things, it will take you into a menu associated with it. So pretty straightforward here. If you click on this is your current park cash. If you click on your cash button, it will take you into the finances tab. Now, as far as I know, that there's kind of been a lot of back and forth with people about how the UI is designed. This is one of the things for me that kind of bothers me a little bit, is that the finance tab doesn't have everything that is involved with your finances. It only really gives you two things. The first one is your summary. So this is your breakdown of everything. It gives you your loans, but that's really it. If you want to do other things as far as setting prices or seeing how individual things are doing, you're gonna have to go into other menus. So I'll get to those in a second. If we just stick on this one for a moment, what is nice is that there's both a chart view on the left, and then there's a graph view on the right. So park cash, I did jump forward. We're only in the second day in this scenario, because time actually moves pretty slow in this game. So there's not too much to see on the graph yet. I might, and actually I probably will at some point, just leave the game on triple speed and just kind of get through like a week or so we can see what this graph looks like. But for right now, this is what we have. So park value. This is, I believe, and again, I don't know the actual equation to get the park value. I believe that the park value is just literally a sum of all of the assets you have in the park. So you can essentially think about it as your total investment. I'm pretty sure. If someone knows the actual breakdown of how the park value is calculated, please let me know, because I've not gotten deep into what all that means. Park cash. This is just what you currently have to spend. This is if you're in the green, you're cash positive. If you're in the red, you're cash poor, and that's no good. Profit breakdown and construction costs. So it's a little weird to me that this is kind of how the overview looks, because construction costs is its own thing. But then if you click on profit breakdown, it opens up this menu. So construction costs, I think, should just be part of the cost breakdown. But anyway, it is what it is. So when you open this drop down, you're gonna be presented with two things: your income and your costs. Now, your costs will always look negative, and that's fine, because that's just what it is. Costs are always going to cost you money. These arrows on the right are just kind of showing you a general trend of what you've been doing. So if it's going up for these, that's good. In this case, costs. This is basically okay. I shouldn't say up or down. What these arrows are really telling you is the number going further away or towards zero. So in this case, income, we want to see that going up. We want to see it trending up. Cost breakdown, we also want to see trending up, because we're trending back towards zero. So that's what those mean. So we've income or revenue. I'm probably going to interchange the word income with revenue quite a bit, just because that's what I'm used to. And then anyway, so we have revenue, and then we have costs. So the revenue will show you exactly where all of your revenue is coming from. And the way the parks are default set up is that your entry is free and you pay per attraction. So that's why your attraction tickets are so high. We'll go more in depth into this a little bit later, but this is all your overview of what of where you're getting all your revenue from. And again, you can see your trends over here. And then your cost. I'm going to bring this back up, and then your costs are showing you everything that is associated with spending money inside the park. Some of these things are a little more fixed. Some of these things are a little more variable. And there's a couple of more drop downs even within this one. So I like that there are nested menus. You can really get to what you need. For example, if we go into power, it will show us everything that we are spending money on, everything that is costing us money to each of the specific categories, which is pretty cool. And the same thing with stock. I don't know if it is this, if it's because I'm in sandbox mode. I'm going to talk about what stock means. The money symbol over here is a little misleading because it doesn't mean stock as in the stock market. It means product stock. The game has been running for over a day in game, and people are buying things, but the stock hasn't cost anything. I don't know. I don't know if this is a feature, if it's something to do with the fact that I'm in sandbox mode. I checked all the settings. I thought that everything was set up correctly. This could just be something that's going on, or maybe I have plenty of stock still and we haven't needed to purchase any stock yet. But when we get into the food and drink stalls in a little bit, I'll show you why that doesn't make any sense. And then staff pay, again, it'll break it down per category of staff member, and then we've got advertising, loan repayments. Okay, so this screen just gives you an overview, right? It's just showing you kind of like a big picture. This would essentially be something like what's referred to as a top sheet. So in a lot of budgeting softwares, whether that's just as simple as Microsoft Excel or something a little more complex like other programs, I'm not going to get into all that. But basically everything that you do within those budget sheets are going to roll up into one top sheet that just gives you and anyone you need to show it to a general breakdown that says, this is how much we've spent, this is how much we've made, and this is our profit. Okay. Now, one thing that is missing from here that is, I don't want to say it's bad because it's just, it's a game, right? It's a game. But just to kind of give you guys some context, this is just showing us all real-time values. The graph will kind of be able to show you a little bit of like year-to-date stuff, and the trends help. But we're not able to see things like year over year or anything like that. There's also there's no tax involved in this. There's a business term called EBITDA, which is truly the bottom line. The profit breakdown is one thing, and that's all good. But this is just this is a very very minimal level of finance here. Because we're not taking into account a whole lot of factors. But for the game, this is really all we need. Okay. Now the other tab in finances is just your loans. As far as I know, there's just one different loan or one loan that you can take out at a time. For the purposes of this, I think I mentioned before that we did take out a loan just so we can see how it works. And so you can see how the loan repayment, the terms are kind of set up for us. There's an interest rate of 20%, and they get 16% of our sales until the debt is paid off. Now, so those are the terms as they're currently set up. If you wanted to pay more, you can go into pay off your loan, which this will kind of show you if you go all the way to the maximum, you can see where you'll be at. And these graphs are pretty nice to show you kind of how it's gonna work. So like if I wanted to put $20,000 into this loan, you can see that we'll have $63,000 in cash remaining. We'll have $50,000 left in the loan, and it'll reduce the sales cut down to 13%. Okay, so that is one menu that we need to look at. The other one, there's actually two. So the things that make us money and the things that cost us money are going to be your attractions and shops and your staff. I want to start in the staff menu. This is going to be the easiest place for you to go and change people's wages. Okay, it's broken down by staff type in here, and if you wanted to increase someone's pay, like I said, we got Regelio here. We can literally just go and increase them from fair pay to high pay, and then they got low. So it is currently just a range. I don't know if they will be changing this. A big thing that I'm missing from this game compared to the first game is the ability to train staff members and to set their wages individually. And by that, I mean, I would love to be able to go into here, into a person and be able to not just have these three options, but to be able to set exactly how much they're getting paid per hour. Now, this janitor is getting paid $31 an hour. I don't know where they're working that they're getting paid $31 an hour. But that is kind of nuts. So good for them to be making that much money. Yeah. So there you go. This is per hour, everybody. So our mechanics, whoo boy, they are just making a ton of money, aren't they? Yeah, they're making $2,500 a day. So anyway, keep that in mind. The scale is a little weird. I don't know who's making this much money, but it's no one that I've ever worked with in theme parks. So so there you go. Okay, and then your attractions and shops. So this is where you can see all of your different rides and your pools and your shops and your facilities and even your utilities. Okay, so that's all cool. So like, let's say that the cube boring, we can see its daily income over here. This little ticket icon right next to it, this is where you can go and change prices for things. So you click on that. And what's nice is that this one does have a custom option. Again, don't know why staff members don't have that, but they don't. This is setting these ticket prices. I'm going to get into that in a second. But again, we're just going through menus right now. So that's where you can find that. You can do that for everything. You can go through into your shops. Shops are a little bit different because you set prices per item. So that's where this is going. You can just set it for the entire thing. Like if you want the entire shop to be a bargain, then that's great. If you want to customize for each one, you can do that too. And then you just go ahead and click on your settings. And again, we will get into shops. Don't worry. Facilities don't have anything because we don't charge for facilities. And then utilities have a cost that are automatically associated with them. And that just is what it is. And then I suppose we'll touch on this really quick too. We'll touch on research. Research doesn't actually, it doesn't cost any money because again, we're working with a different version of the research tree than we did in the first game, where we're unlocking it based off of the whole career. But you do need to acquire research points, and in order to do that, you have to have a mechanic dedicated to researching. All right. Okay, so here we are at the entrance of our awesome tutorial park. So I want to start. We're going to start talking about setting prices for things, and I'm starting over here at the entrance because I want to point out just something really quick about ticket prices. So first of all, if you click on your entrance gates, it's gonna open up this menu just like before, you can see your power, your water, and all your customization options. That's all fine. If you go into edit ticket prices, that will take you to this menu. So in the game currently, we have two options for everything. We have full price or we have custom. Full price is explaining that this is the price that all of your guests will be willing to pay. And that's the same description for all three of these. So I believe what this means is that it takes some calculation of what your parked value is and assigns a value to this. I could probably do some testing around with this. I might do like a whole off-screen test of some of these things at a future point. But for right now, we're just going over what the game currently gives us. So that's what full price means. We don't have pools right now, so it's not assigning anything. We also don't have any priority passes right now, so it's not assigning anything. Right. So we're just going to stick on tickets. Something that is bothering me is that I don't know why. I feel like I've changed this before, but currently it's not letting me edit child entry tickets, which was really nice before to be able to have different options for different types of tickets. I would also love to see season passes be added into this game at some point. Right now, it's just daily tickets. But if it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal. So anyway, if you want to set this to custom, you can just make your entry price whatever you want. You can use these buttons to click through 50 cents at a time, or you can just click in here and you can set it to, you can just set it to whatever you want. So we're just gonna leave this turned off for right now. We're gonna leave it at $0 for right now, just because that's not it's not all that important. Okay, so now here we are at our coaster, the Gulpy Giant one, which if you guys don't catch this reference, this is a reference to a coaster that was built at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It's currently just called the Big One. But it was originally sponsored by Pepsi. I think it was Pepsi Max when it came out. So it was originally called the Pepsi Max Big One. So that's a little. This coaster is a little nod to Blackpool Pleasure Beach. If you didn't know, the colors of this coaster are the same colors as the Gulpy, the Gulpy logo, and the one at Blackpool was themed to Pepsi. I think it actually I think it still is blue and red. But just a quick little tidbit on that. Anyway, so in talking about ticket prices in here and finances in general, so we can see down here when you first click on the ride, we can see that the income yesterday was $26,580. Okay, not too bad. Remember, we're dealing with much bigger numbers than we were in the first game. So let's go ahead and jump up into the finances tab on here. So if you were to look at just kind of what's nice about this game is that it kind of gives you overviews of things everywhere, and then you can choose to go deeper in the different categories that you want to go deeper into. Okay, so the projected daily income, the term I'm used to using is forecasting instead of projecting. They're basically the same thing. So again, if I'm interchanging words, which is what I'm used to, that's just what's happening. Okay, so what this is doing is this is calculating throughput. So with the rough calculations that I did, this is basically saying that we're only going to get 5 cycles per hour, which is not true. We're going to get more than that. But basically it's just taking the total amount of riders that you can fit on a train, and then how many times you're going to get that train to complete a cycle. So if you take the 21,984 and you divide that by the total amount that you can get per cycle, which again, all we're doing is math here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars per train. We've got 6 riders per car. That is a total of 30 riders per cycle. And they are paying $12 each to go on. So that's $360 per cycle, right? So if we do, so now you see this is going up because the throughput is actually going faster. It's a real-time projection. So currently they're saying that at the pace that we're going at, we're doing 22,344 divided by 360. That's essentially estimating that we're going to get 62 cycles in a day. 62 fully loaded cycles. If the cycle is not fully loaded, then this price will change. But that's basically what we're doing, right? Is we're calculating throughput. In my experience, for most parks, because they don't charge for rides, we're not really concerned with projecting income for rides, but we are concerned with projecting throughput. There's a metric that we use, and the terms might be different in different areas, but it's always been the same at the different parks I've worked at, and the metric is RPG, or rides per guest. It may be attractions per guest, it may be something like that, but we just want to see how many things people can do in a day. And instead of worried about money, we're more concerned with time. So what we would calculate in real life is how many cycles a ride can get through in a day, and then we divide that by the amount of time that the park is open, and we get an estimate, right? So we get a forecast. So let's say, just to use some very simple numbers, let's say that in a 10-hour day, it might take someone an hour to get through each ride. Now I'm simplifying this a whole lot, guys. I really am. So that would equate to 10 and a forecasted 10 rides per guest, right? Because if they spend an hour at each ride and they go for all 10 hours, right? That's what they get. The number that we're actually concerned with is the actual rides per guest. And that's done very, very simply. All attractions and rides, they keep a count of their throughput, of their capacity. So we get a total number of riders for the end of the day. So let's say that we've got this ride here, and let's say that again, I'm going to use really, really easy numbers here, right? Let's say that they had 100 riders in this day, and let's say that we have. Okay, let's make this even easier. Let's say that we have 10 rides. Let's say we have 10 rides in our park, and they each got 100 riders in that day. So we're currently at 1,000 people went through all of these rides. Okay, now all we have to do is we're going to look. Then the entry gate also keeps track of how many people came into the park. So let's say that in the day we had 5,000 people come into our park. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take the 5,000 people who came into the park, divide that by the total amount of riders that we had in the day, and we're going to get our number. So 5,000 divided by 1,000 is 5. So that means on average, we had a throughput of 5 rides or 5 attractions per guest. Okay, so that is the real life comparison to what we are doing here. So I want to touch on that because again, I think that's what unique about what I bring to YouTube is having that real life experience there, and I want you guys to get some insight into kind of how the theme park world works. So that is enough about throughput for now. I might talk about priority passes in a little bit, but for right now, the next thing I want to talk about is the different type of tickets that you can have. So custom is exactly what it sounds like. You can set it to whatever you want, and then there's these 3 options under it. Bargain is the price that all of your guests will be willing to pay. So that's at $20.09. Premium is a higher price that not all guests will tolerate. So at bargain, it means that everybody in the park is comfortable paying $20 to ride this roller coaster. At premium, that means that only, and I don't know what the percentage is. I would assume that it's most, but there will be some people who are not willing to pay that extra $5. Now we get into dynamic. Okay, so dynamic is I mentioned this briefly in one of the career mode episodes. This is the game's attempt at getting close to how dynamic pricing works in real life. Dynamic pricing is a very good way to set prices in a park. Very rarely are things going to be set statically. Some things are, for example, like, you know, merchandise and food, you know, those things that you don't really need to change day in and day out. Those things will stay static for the most part. However, ticket prices and priority passes, those are things that you absolutely would want to have dynamic pricing for. So the game's equivalent is the minimum price, which is, if you guys haven't figured it out, the minimum price is the bargain price, and the premium price is the max price over here. So that's how those are equated. If you keep this on dynamic, these prices will change depending on how long the queue is, right? So if the queue is up to 2 minutes long, it will be here. And then as soon as the queue reaches 10 minutes or longer, it will go to 25. So there will be a range. So if it's at 2 minutes or under, it will be at the minimum price. If it's over 10 minutes long, it'll be at the maximum price. And if it's between these two, it will be between the two price ranges over here, right? So if it was at 5 minutes, we would expect the price to be somewhere in like the 22.50 range, because that's about 50% in between the two of these, right? So what we're going to do though is, again, with comparing things to real life, is I'm going to pause the game and I'm going to pull up an image and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have pulled up a calendar of the the original theme park. This is the calendar for Disneyland. Now their prices are astronomical because it's Disney. Whatever. That's not the point. The point is, I wanted to come in here to show you guys what dynamic pricing in the real world really means. So what this means is, if you look at these different dates, and you can see, so I'm recording this on Friday the 13th. That's when I'm recording this. Tomorrow, if I wanted to go, it's going to cost $196. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it's going to cost $180. Wednesday and Thursday, $164. Friday, $180. Next Saturday, it's going to be $206. And then all of this week of Christmas break, all of it, $206, all the way through until the end of the New Year's Eve weekend, right? And then it drops back down. If you look at January 7th, which is a Tuesday, drops down to $126, which is, of all of these days, that's the cheapest that it's been so far. You go down another week, we're down to $104 per day. You go down another week, $104, right? So each day is a different price. What this is doing is the park is using their estimated attendance to essentially set the price for the day. So if a day is projected to be a very well attended day, then your pricing is going to be higher, because you already know people are going to be coming to the park. You already know that they're going to pay to get in no matter what. So you may as well charge them more. It also kind of helps act as a deterrent a little bit to get people to not go on the busy days. And instead, like this week here, getting in for $104, it's like, well, why would I pay $206 to go into the park when if I just wait 2 weeks and go on a Tuesday, you know, in the middle of January, I can save $100 to go in. So those are the two things that it does. One is that it makes sure that the park is making ample money on the days that they know they're going to be busy. Then it's also to try and get people to come to the park on days where you expect to be less busy. Okay, so this is really more what dynamic pricing does in the real world. If we go through until, you know, the middle of this, like here, I bet if we look at spring break, right? So March and April, there's probably gonna be some days in here. Yep. So look, so this weekend here, this middle of April, they're probably expecting this to be, I'm gonna guess this is probably a California spring break in here, because in Anaheim, that's where they are. They're in Anaheim, California. This is probably a spring break that they're projecting to be in here. But then all the rest of this is like, it's 164 pretty much every day through here. There's 142. So this is spring break time. And then if you see, if we're looking at, this is as far as the calendar goes right now. It goes to June. So what this is telling me is that Disney does their forecasting for attendance. They do it 6 months out, because this is 6 months from now is the end of is the middle of June, and this is kind of what they're expecting. So actually, the most expensive time of the year, not really surprisingly, is over the holiday break coming up in here. So if you're thinking about going to Disneyland, don't go over Christmas. If you just wait, you can save a whole lot of money by not going then. So there you go, guys. That's dynamic pricing in a nutshell. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about in this episode is shops. So we've got 3 different kinds of shops in the game right now. There are food, drink, and gift shops. Now, to access these, there's a couple different ways. We're going to start by going through the menu, and you go into attractions and shops, and then you go ahead and you click on shops. And this will break it down between the different types of shops that you have. I suppose technically pools and guest service and vending machines are considered different types, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so in here, what's really nice is that it shows you what the shop is currently earning. This is its daily income. Then it also shows you what it got yesterday. So it gives you an idea of how close you are depending on the time of day. Like we're only at 10:26 in the morning. So we've got some time to hopefully keep increasing these numbers. Now from here, you can do some pretty basic things. Like you can name it, you can turn it on and off, but you can also edit prices from here by clicking on the little spoon and fork next to it. So we're going to get back to here in a second. I just want to also show you really quick that if you're just in the park and you click on one of your shops, you can get to this the same way. So as soon as you click on this Haya Sushi here, if you go over here, I know it's going to be weird because there's a finances tab. The finances tab is your overview. To change prices, you have to go to the products tab. So let's stick on here for a second. So the finance overview for your shops is nice and detailed. The one that was in the management menu before just kind of showed you these broad numbers, but this will go ahead and show you it'll give you more detail. So like for example, yesterday we had 631 guests, and that gained us a revenue of $5,666.85. Today so far we've got $995, and you can see that is our profit. Our revenue has been almost $1,200, but we have wages and we have running costs in here. Now, if you remember earlier, I said that when we were in finances, that if you go into profit breakdown, you go to cost breakdown, that for some reason stock isn't here. I'm pretty sure that the game is still calculating this in the background, but it's not showing up here for some reason. And the reason I say that is because when we're here, you can see that we had running costs. It's not electricity because electricity is billed in a different place. That's all the way here under power. So power is showing up under its own thing. So I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to be our stock cost, but it's not showing up in that menu. So I just wanted to point that out, that the game is calculating it. It's just not showing up in that main window for whatever reason. So Frontier, if you see this, be great if that could be fixed. Okay, so now if we look at the lifetime down here, they have something on here that I find interesting. They have something down here called average sales price. Above this, we can see lifetime guest, lifetime income. That's all great. Now, average sales price. All this really is doing is it's taking an average of the items that we have for sale and kind of showing what the average cost of the shop is. But this had me thinking, going back to trying to relate things to real life. What I would prefer to see, and maybe they can add this to all of this, but similar to how Operations does rides per guest, that's the metric that they look at. In Revenue Land, for food and beverage, gift shops, all that stuff, they look at a metric called per cap. And per cap is what it's essentially calculate, or it's estimating what each individual person spends at the park on average. And we do this for each individual food location, each individual gift shop location. Then we have a general per cap for the entire park. And it's pretty easy to, it's calculated very similar to how rides per guest is. Basically, if we look at today, or actually we'll look at yesterday's income. So yesterday's income was $5,666.85. So if I go ahead and do $5,666.85, and let's just use today's current guest count as a total, which we have 1,644 guests in the park, that's going to get us a per cap of $3.45 per person. So depending on what is budgeted for the day, a $3.45 per cap may be right on, it may be under, maybe over. I would expect $3.44 to be a little bit low for food and beverage, but it all depends on what we're feeling for that day. So just another little tidbit relating this game to real life. So the only other thing to really know about food, about all your different stands, is next to finances is your products. Now, first, this option, Sync Across Shops, it should be defaulted to on. If it's not, I would recommend you turn this on. That just makes sure that whenever you put another Haya Sushi down somewhere, you'll have the same prices. You don't have to keep setting them up all the time. If for some reason you wanted to have different prices somewhere else, like maybe you're making an out-of-the-park area that features some of the in-park items and you want to put those at a little bit of a discount, you can do that. But in general, I would recommend keeping the prices the same throughout the park. Now, very similar to how the entry prices and the ride prices worked, bargain is going to be what everyone is willing to pay. The game calculates that somehow. I'm really not sure how they do it, but that's the price that everyone's willing to pay. You don't have premium or dynamic or anything like that in here. You have bargain or you have custom. And if you go into, so when it's set to bargain, you'll notice that here you can't change the prices anywhere. I hope that this comes with an update that I can just change the prices right on here, but you actually have to go into the settings for each individual item. So while you're on here, if you're in bargain, this won't change at all. But if you are in custom, then you can come in here and you can set this to whatever you want it to be. Now, there's one other thing to know about all your different products, and they may or may not have extras down here. So for example, if we keep on this salmon tamaki right here, I think it's supposed to be like salmon teriyaki, you can add wasabi and pickled ginger as ingredients to this item. This does not affect the price of it. If I were to check these both on, it is still $10 to buy it. What it does is it makes the cost to acquire it more. So when these are on, you can see that there's an extra daily cost of $3. If I take those off, there's an extra daily cost of $0. So this is showing you what it costs to get stock in here. So stock cost per item sold is $4.67, and then you have some extra daily costs on top of it to get all your ingredients in. So just know that ahead of time. By adding these on, I don't know exactly, but I would imagine that it would make people feel like this is a more premium product. So you can kind of do that and generate more sales that way. But the important thing to know is that is an added cost. It is not added revenue for your shops. Gift shops tend to be pretty much the same thing. You can see all the same metrics you saw for the Haya Sushi. I'm looking at the Hats Fantastic here now. I'll get a little bit closer. Generally speaking, it looks like for the most part, everything is, when it's on bargain, everything is priced at twice what the stock cost is, which is fine. In a lot of the retail world, I mean, if someone's buying ball caps for $7.50 a piece, they're buying incredibly expensive ball caps. I'm not a big retail guy, but retail usually is marked up pretty good. A 200% markup isn't all that great. I would expect this to be quite a bit more for a baseball cap. So something that I may do in the future, and let me know if you guys would like to see this or not, but I want to do an experiment where I go through and set prices more aligned with what you would see in a park. Like for baseball caps, I would expect those to be in the $30 to $40 range. And some of these specialty hats, probably somewhere around there, but baseball caps tend to be pretty expensive. Same with just this gift shop. You can see we've got some really basic stuff like key rings. We've got pocket plushies. This is your smaller stuff. But then shirts, getting shirts and hoodies for like everything on here just starts at $15. A hoodie, if you come in here, it's $7.50 to get it. So the gift shops aren't they're not very different, the products. But I mean, a hoodie, or if I turn this on to custom and I go down here, I mean, hoodies are going to run you like, you know, $40, $50, $60 sometimes, depending on what they are. And maybe we'll leave that one on for right now. I'm just kind of curious to see if anything happens with that being marked as $50 if people say anything about it. I guess we'll see. Alrighty, and that is going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Ultimate Park Management Guide for Planet Coaster 2. We took a deeper look into some of the financial aspects of the game. If there's anything that you think I missed or anything you want me to go over, please do let me know in the comments. And then whatever other subjects you guys want me to tackle, definitely let me know. I'm not actually sure what the next topic is going to be, but we're going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. We're really close to 200. For me, I've seen a lot of growth in the last like week and a half, so thank you guys very much for supporting. I hope to see this continue to grow. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.